Hello, welcome to Biology, the scientific study of life. Amphibians. Amphibians class Amphibia are represented today by about 4,800 species of salamanders order Ordela, which means tailed ones, frogs order Unara, meaning tailless ones, and Cilians order Iduba, meaning legless ones. There are only about 500 species of Ordeles. Some are entirely aquatic, but others live on land as adults or short life. Most salamanders that live on land walk their side to side, bending of the body inherited from the early terrestrial tetrapods. Metamorphosis is common among aquatic salamanders, as shown in this figure. The mud poppy Nycteros, for instance, retains larval features when sexually mature. Inorans, numbering nearly 4,200 species, are more specialized than Urodelas for moving on land. Adult frogs use their powerful hind legs to hop along the Tyrian, a frog naps insects by flicking out its long, sticky tongue with is attached to the front of the mouth. Frogs display a great variety of adaptations that help them avoid being eaten by larger predators. Their skin glands secrete distasteful or even poisonous mucus. Many poisonous species have a bright coloration with predators apparently associated with danger, as shown in this figure. Other frogs have color patterns that camouflage abundance the Sicilians, about 150 species. The legless and nearly blend, as shown in this figure. Superficially, they resemble earthworms. Their absence of legs is a secondary adaptation, as they evolved from a legged ancestor. Sicilians inhabit tropical areas where most species burrow in moist forest soil. A few South American species live in freshwater ponds and streams. Amphibians means two leaves, a reference to the metamorphosis of many frog species. The larval stage of a frog, called a tadpole, is usually an aquatic herbivore with gills, a literal line system resembling that of aquatic vertebrate, and a long fin tail. The tadpole initially lacks legs and swims by undulating its tail. During the metamorphosis that leads to the second life, the tadpole develops legs, lungs, a pair of external eardrums, and a digestive system adapted to a carnivorous diet. At the same time, the gills disappear. The lateral line system also disappears in most species. The young frog crawls into shore and becomes a terrestrial hunter. In spite of their name, however, many amphibians do not live a dualistic aquatic and terrestrial life. There are some strictly aquatic or strictly terrestrial frogs, salamanders and Cilicians, moreover salamander and Cilician larvae look much like adults, and typical both the larvae and the adults are carnivores. Most amphibians are found in damp habitats such as swamps and rainforests. Even those that are adapted to the drier habitats spend much of their time in burrows or under moist leaves where the humidity is high. Amphibians generally rely heavily on their moist skin for gas exchange with the environment. Some terrestrial species lack lungs and breathe exclusively through their skin and oral cavity. Fertilization is external in most amphibians. The male grasps the female and spills his sperm over the eggs as the female sheds them. Amphibians typically lay their eggs in water or in moist environments on land. The eggs lack a shell and dehydrate quickly in dry air. Some amphibian species lay vast numbers of eggs into porous pools, and mortality is high. In contrast, other species lay relatively few eggs and display various types of parental care. Depending on the species, either males or females may house eggs on their back, in their mouth, or even in their stomach. Certain tropical tree frogs stay their egg masses into moist foamy nests that resist drying. There are also some ovoviviparous and viviparous species that retain the eggs in the female reproductive tract, where embryos can develop without drying out. Many amphibians exhibit complex and diverse social behaviors, especially during their breeding seasons. Frogs are usually quiet, but the males of many species vocalize to defend their breeding territory to attract females. In some species, migrations to specific breeding sites may involve vocal communication, celestial navigation, or chemical signaling. Over the past 25 years, zoologists have documented a rapid and alarming decline in amphibian populations throughout the world. There appear to be several causes, including habitat degradation, the spread of fungal chytrid pathogen, and mass amphibians because of their dependence in wet places for completing their life cycles.